I feel like it's pretty important as a content creator to acknowledge when I was wrong. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the new end of match procedures, although at this point, they're not so new. We've had them for about a month, and I want to talk about my experience with them, where I was right, where I was wrong, and also just kind of talk about the direction that these are going, and if there's any solutions for actually fixing them if they need to be fixed, I guess. Not everyone feels they do. So where was I wrong? Well, it's important to know what I was thinking when they first got announced, and what I was thinking is that it was a decision that was meant to speed up tournaments while really making the player experience pretty bad. And after YCS New Jersey, I felt that the player experience was bad. Yes, definitely, like absolutely. But the tournament wasn't sped up, and I took notes during YCS New Jersey of how long each round went into time. On average, it was about 35 minutes, and that's not much faster than YCS's normally went into time, maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes faster per round. And while that might not seem like it matters, it certainly does, because that kind of discount on the tournament time, that whatever, like hour and a half throughout the whole tournament, was at the cost of a lot of player experience issues. Like every single person at the tournament didn't like the new time rules except for staff and judges, and then I felt that it didn't even speed up the tournament, so what was the point? Here's where I'm wrong, because what happened on that video and after the past couple weeks is that on that video, some people commented that they went to a regional qualifier that weekend, and they said that the time rules actually did speed up the tournament. They mentioned that in the I think it was the California regionals, where it only went like 10 minutes at a time every round, and that proves me wrong. And I was like, I read that and I was like, maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe it was just that one event, YCS New Jersey, that wasn't working. I mean, that regional, I think there might have been two regionals that ran that weekend. They were all like the first weekend that the new time rules sort of came into existence and were legal, which means that it wasn't just like the first weekend that the time rules were legal, it was screwed up. It seemed like depending on which event you went to, the time rules did speed up the tournament or didn't speed up the tournament, and I couldn't quite figure it out. But after that, I went to the Garden City Regional, and then I just went to the ARG States, which, even though it is an unofficial tournament, they have adopted the new time rules as well. And I can say yes, in most cases, the new time rules actually do speed up the tournament significantly, and a noticeable amount. I say this because at the Garden City Regional, which usually gets out at like 10, 11, it got out around 8 o'clock, and yeah, I can say that actually did make a difference. I think on average, the round only went 10 minutes into time, outside of one very specific round that went like 35 minutes into time, but that was because there was a huge ruling error. Well, it was more like a procedural error. Basically, and I know this because I played the victim of this issue the next round. I don't know if he's really the victim. He's just a normal player. But I played him the next round. He said that basically what happened is he had game on board, and then he entered battle phase, and his opponent said sure, and then time in round was called, and his opponent said wait a second, I had a response in main phase, and obviously like that's slow playing, that's stalling. The judges came over, and not only is that just stalling in general, and he already agreed to go in battle phase, he also didn't have any cards he could play, which was really scummy. So they DQ'd him, and then I played the good guy in the situation the next round, and he kind of explained that to me. So shout out to that guy. I was like, wow, we were really going into time that round. It was like 35 minutes, which was really abnormal for that tournament. But yeah, so the new time rules actually do speed up the tournaments. I don't think it speeds up YCS's that much. I don't think it. I think we'll be really interested to see how it fixes the WCQ this coming weekend, which I think by the time this video is uploaded, it might already be happening. But yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see how much faster that is, because the WCQ is like the worst tournament for going to time. Like it's always like an hour into the round because it's so high stakes. But it seems like the higher stakes of the tournament is the more people go into time, even with these new time rules. I think in general at regional qualifiers, I was wrong. It actually does speed up tournaments a significant amount, which was my first original hypothesis, but after New Jersey, I basically just came out and said they don't work at all, which in hindsight was just incorrect. So I wanted to acknowledge that. However, I wasn't completely wrong, and pretty much everything else I said was right. So the player experience sucks right now. It feels so bad losing in time, like way worse than it ever did. The phase issue definitely still is an issue. Most people get it by now that you should just freeze play when time is called and then see what phase you're in, but it doesn't feel good. Like so many times you're like in the main phase setting up game, and then like time in the round is called. that totally sucks. And one thing they did at the Garden City Regional that I wanted to mention, because I love this idea, I don't think they're going to enforce it, to be completely honest. And actually, a couple people complained, or enough people complained where they stopped doing this after like round 4. But this idea was great. With 10 minutes left in the round, they just turned the clock off. And what I mean by that is they hid how much time was left in the round. This was a purposeful decision to make sure that no one was trying to like slow play up until the last second and then declare battle phase. I love this decision. Basically what happened is that as soon as the clock turned off, everyone in the room just started playing faster because you never knew when time was going to happen. You're trying to get that damage in as much as possible. And this doesn't surprise me because this is what happens at Pokemon tournaments. You actually just don't know how much time is left around at a Pokemon tournament. And while I feel that that doesn't really work in a Yu-Gi-Oh sense, I think that you should know at least like 75% of the round how much time is left. Just like, I think one of the cases that comes up a lot is if you're in game 2 and you're like in a losing position, but you might have a way to turn it around, but you see that there's like 13 minutes left on the clock. Well, maybe you just, I mean, I already talked about this in my strategic losing video, but maybe you just scoop and then go to game 3 so that you make sure you go first. Outside of that though, it doesn't really, I don't know, it didn't seem like a huge issue at Pokemon tournaments, but I think in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just turning the clock off in the last 10 minutes could fix a lot of these issues. I personally really liked it, but a lot of people didn't, I guess, or enough people for them to stop doing that. Personally though, I did think it was a really good idea. I think the issue with that is having people actually do that at every single tournament. One of the things with running Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments like at YCSs and regional flights and regionals and locals is that you really want to make sure you have a similar experience no matter which level of play you're having. That's kind of one of the reasons for this new time rule, because it used to be that tier 1 events and tier 2 events had different end of match procedure rules and different rules as far as drawing goes, but now they have just one unified end of match procedure, which I think is part of the reason that they did this, which I haven't mentioned in the past. But there are some issues with the new time mechanic. How could we fix it going forward? Well, I think what I propose, and I think what I've heard from a lot of different people, just make the rounds 50 minutes instead of 40 minutes. That helps so much. Like, it's crazy because like what used to happen when you would go on a time is that like after those 5 turns you might still just be like 1 or 2 turns away from actually defeating your opponent, and that felt bad. But nowadays, like, you have to be like really ready to kill your opponent right when time is called. You have to be in the battle phase. You have to know exactly what's going on. I think a lot of this could be alleviated by just making the round 50 minutes instead of 40 minutes. Now I do want to say the likelihood of this happening, the likelihood of any change happening is almost 0. It seems like Konami really wants to stick to this, and I mean, it just sucks. Like, if you read my feature match from YC New Jersey, there's like all this stuff going on, and then like it just ends anticlimactically with just the writer saying, and then time and round was called and it was a draw, woohoo. So it just feels anticlimactic. It doesn't feel like really winning the game. It doesn't feel like really losing the game. But I think just giving us 10 more minutes could actually go a long way. I think the value that those extra 10 minutes would have would solve a lot of the issues. I know that pretty much all the games that I've seen going on, and this is anecdotal evidence, I will admit that, all the games that I've gone into time, which isn't that many, but a lot of the ones that I've been seeing as well, if they just had that extra 10 minutes, somebody would have actually won. And there could be the argument made that if everyone had the extra 10 minutes, they wouldn't play as fast for the whole round because now they know they have 10 extra minutes. That's a little tricky. Personally, I don't think it would affect it that much. I think it would just give people an extra couple minutes to actually figure out a way to defeat their opponent. And I don't know, it is tricky because I understand that can be an argument, and for some people, especially people that are maliciously slow playing throughout the entire round, obviously for them, they're just going to play a little bit slower. But I think for the general population, if I'm assuming that the general sort of duelist person isn't actually trying to cheat their opponent out of wins, I think that extra 10 minutes would matter a lot. Also, there's like a guy going up and down the street with a motorcycle. He always does it when I'm recording, so that sucks. So I'll probably just end this video here. Well, let me know what you guys think about these end of match procedures. I think that they're not as bad as I thought they were, but I think that they do have, maybe not as crazy as I thought, but they do have many of the issues that I was worried about when they were first revealed. I think that the player experience is lessened because of this. I think a lot of people are actually quitting because of this, and while I'm not going to go that far, I do think that as a player, there's a lot of pressure to play really, really fast and potentially play faster than you can actually think about your plays. I think of decks like Goki, think of decks like Spiral that are these heavy combo-based decks, you're really pressured to play very, very fast because you need to not go on a timer round. You want to make that big board, and especially if you have like a soul charge, there's a lot of debate about how many cards you should bring back with a soul charge so you can actually have a big board but actually have time to kill your opponent and not spend too much time just making your board. But let me know what you guys think about this. I think it's not as bad. I think it's decent. I think that there could be a few modifications made, mainly just adding 10 minutes to the end of the round. I will see you guys later though. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.